As soon as we step outside the door on our orientation walk, there's lots of things to see and plenty of restaurants. It's approaching dinner time and we've worked up a ferocious appetite from our full day's activities. Now we have the luxury of strolling about and picking and choosing among many fine restaurant offerings. We're walking in the neighborhood generally between the Corso and Piazza di Spagna, between the Spanish Steps and the main street of town, the Via del Corso. There's all kinds of activities here. There's lots of people out walking. It's the passeggiata. It's the magic hour of twilight, just before sunset. It's cool, it's delightful, and everybody's out for a stroll. The shops are still open, and the restaurants are just starting to pick up some business. The famous Spanish Steps are the great mecca, the biggest gathering point in the city. You find lots of young Romeos out looking for their Juliets, or an American Julie. Be careful who you ask for directions, though. They might be also a tourist and equally lost. You'll find people from Poland and Czechoslovakia, from England, from Zimbabwe, and even from Hawaii here at the Spanish Steps. There's often some kind of musical performance going on, people with their guitars singing. And most of the people are quite friendly, be they local or tourist. Our Hawaii Geographic Society tour bunch is strolling along, getting their orientations, enjoying these exotic sights. This is only our second night on the tour, and we're a little disoriented by the overwhelming beauty. It's almost as if we're in a dream, but we know this feeling of hunger and the smell of delicious food is quite real. There are several dozen restaurants in this 8-block area in the heart of Rome. You can't go wrong. Outdoor tables, indoor tables, elegant cuisine, or simple dining. There's a whole variety of types of restaurants to pick from. The opening hours of restaurants in Rome vary quite naturally from one restaurant to the next, but generally most people start eating dinner at about 8:30 or 9:30 and get ready for another full day of exploring the city. Here's how you drink out of the fountains. You put your finger under the fountain and the water spouts up through a hole on the top of the spout. You'll find this fresh, delicious water all over Rome, and it's perfectly safe to drink. Bring lots of film and get a little automatic camera because you'll be pushing that button quite a bit. Fountains like this abound throughout the city. This particular one is in the Piazza della Rotonda in front of the Pantheon, and it too has an Egyptian obelisk. One of over a dozen Egyptian obelisks found throughout the city, and one of the prettiest of all fountains in the Piazza della Rotonda, also called Piazza del Pantheon. And around this piazza, like most piazzas in the city, you'll find cafes and cats. A lot of cats in Rome. They're sort of strays that are taken care of by neighborhood residents and restaurants. A view of the back of the Pantheon and the charming Piazza della Minerva. Let's just have a brief look from here. This is Santa Maria sopra Minerva, and it's one of the oldest churches in Rome, and that really says something because Rome has so many old churches. But this truly is old because it's in the Gothic style. It dates back to about the 12th century. So this precedes most of the churches that we've seen so far. Most of the churches are Renaissance or Baroque churches, but this particular one is actually Gothic, and the Gothic is pretty unusual in Rome. There wasn't that much of a building boom here in the 11th and 12th centuries. Rome wasn't a real important place at that time, but it was important enough to produce this church, and you can see the Gothic elements with the pointed arches and the cross-vaulted ceilings. It was Bernini's whimsical idea to carve this statue of an elephant and put an Egyptian obelisk on its back, right in the Piazza della Minerva, just behind the Pantheon. There's quite a few religious shops in this neighborhood. You can buy garments for a priest, rosary beads, different items for a church. Walking through these narrow streets is one of the great joys of a visit to Rome.
And there's the Gesù. We were in there yesterday, Gesù. Okay, avanti.
Crossing the very busy Corso Vittorio Emanuele II. Probably the widest, busiest street in the city. You've got to be careful until you get back on these little side streets, and then everything is quite easy. You don't have to worry about cars bombing around corners at you. Very peaceful.
This is one of the more interesting sites in the middle of the city. It's an ancient temple ruins right in the middle of this busy traffic center. And this is called the Largo Argentina, also referred to as Area Sacra. And these are prehistoric Roman temples. And they date back about 2,500 years, so they're very old, very ancient. And they weren't rediscovered until the 1930s. There was a construction project going on here, and they dug up some columns, so they called in the archaeologists, and they did a reconstruction job on it and preserved it. Of course, parts of it go under here too, but this is the main part. There's 3 temples, and they don't even know what the names of the temples were or what they were for. So it's just temples A, B, and C. And one of the curious things is that down here in the temple grounds, there's a big colony of wild cats. There's a lot of wild cats in Rome. People take care of them, they feed them, but especially here. So take a look, see if you can see some of the cats. You saw some already. So we're gonna walk all the way around it. You can get some pretty good pictures from the far end, and then we're gonna head over across the street that way. This is Piazza Mattei. Piazza Mattei, it's named after the Mattei family. It was a noble family who has palaces right around the piazza. And we're looking at the Fountain of the Turtles. And it's one of the most charming of the late Renaissance fountains in Rome. It was built in 1581. And you can see that there's these young lads on dolphins, and they're helping the turtles get up into the fountain so the turtles can take their bath.
We're in the neighborhood referred to as the ghetto, which might sound like a slum, but actually it just means it's the area where the Jews were quartered in the old days, back in the 16th and 17th century. And it's a very charming and old historic part of the neighborhood to walk in. Crossing from the ghetto to Via dei Gubernari, observing street work in action here with the cobblestone streets. They can easily dig up the streets, dig a hole in the ground, do their pounding, and then replace the cobblestones without having to do any asphalt work. It's an ancient and efficient system as we enter the great marketplace in the heart of the city. Here you'll find fish to flowers and vegetables in between.
So this is it, the famous marketplace Campo dei Fiori, which means field of flowers. In the old days, that's what it was. It was a grass field with lots of flowers and a flower market. And even today at the far end, they do sell fresh cut flowers. It's gone through many different uses over the centuries. For a while, it was a place of public execution. Many heads were chopped in the center of the Campo dei Fiori hundreds of years ago. And now, as you see, it's a very lively fruit and vegetable market. And this is where the Romans shop. They like to buy their produce fresh daily, whenever possible. And it's just a real fine place. Just hang out and eavesdrop and listen to the people talking and listen to the beautiful Italian language. This is a place to hear it. And you can buy some peaches or whatever, bananas, nectarines. If you want to wash them off before you eat them, there's several fountains in the middle there. You can drink from the fountains as usual or just wash the fruits off. Oh, sure.
Just look around.
Yeah, peaches are good.
Back in the 16th century, this piazza was the very heart of Rome. And ever since, it's remained a central and busy market, a place for us to grab some refreshments in the middle of our walk, and a place for the Romans to purchase their daily vegetables. Things you purchase here were probably in the ground yesterday. They're that fresh.
Taro, how's it taste?
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Fresh seasonal produce here is an absolute requirement.
Oh, never mind.
The goods are delivered every morning starting at about 6 a.m. and by 9 o'clock in the morning, the market's in full swing. And it goes until about 1:30 in the afternoon. And the market really is a great place to listen to the beautiful Italian language.
Beh, già, poi lì c'è la rughetta. Vuole un po' di paresano, un po' di zucchine belle,
No, volevo
fagiolini.
dei pomodori, però non mi piacciono questi, volevo quelli piccoli piccoli.
C'è un pantano che è meraviglioso questo, signora. Se va un po' romano, il pantano di Roma.
Vabbè, per oggi niente.
I pomodori adesso non ci sono, ma nel momento io li porto sempre. Io addirittura dopo.
You get the feeling that some of these people have worked here all their lives, and so did all of their ancestors. The Campo is surrounded by these warm stucco facades of multi-level buildings whose roofs cut a busy network of textures against the sky. Many of these buildings have been here since the 16th and 17th centuries and functioned at one time as hotels or palaces. This was the economic center of town back in those days, and there were half a dozen hotels located in the vicinity back in the 16th century. Well, let's have a look at the map to get an orientation and find our bearings and the location. You'll see it's close to Piazza Navona, just on the other side of Corso Vittorio Emanuele II, near the river. Easy to find the Campo dei Fiori. Even if you're a tourist without a kitchen, you can enjoy the fresh fruits.
This is nectarine. Very good.
Really? Delicious.
Really
huh?
tasty.
Nice break. Nice refreshing break.
Yeah, that's
It is.
just for lunch.
Appetizer.
Ne ho poche perché le rompiamo.
Mandali via.
Could you bite into that for me? That's good?
Excellent. Good.
Let's hear another bite.
The Roman tomatoes they throw away look better than some of the tomatoes we buy in supermarkets here.
What is it? Edible flowers?
Yeah, I think it's the top of a squash. You know, I saw the flower at the end of it.
You're going to see produce that you've never heard of before. Usually these stalls are operated by a family operation, several generations working together side by side, and the young son might be out at the wholesale market at the same time, purchasing more goods for the next day.
Che cos'è ecco?
Cicoria,
Cigolia.
quella l'hanno fatta naturale.
Cigolia.
Basta.
E che cosa de fiore?
Fiori di zucchine.
Fiore di zucchini.
Tu dove vedi la Sardegna, il camone.
Altro?
Quello più buono.
Che sapore ha questa?
Da far asciugare.
Ma la lascio appesa e basta.
Vabbè, appesa, certo. Non ci deve essere umidità, capito?
La insalate qua dentro?
Sì, ma quella sta per conto suo dentro la busta di plastica. Stai tranquilla, bella. Ciao.
What?
I guess she
Yeah,
told
I guess
her.
Capito. So, what do you think of this place?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Chi piace, bacconina come le puntarelle quella.
Vabbè, lasciamo perdere.
Everything looks so fresh.
All I need to do is buy a roll and a hunk of cheese, and I've got my fruit. That's my lunch.
You're all set. Did you buy anything?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
Fruits and dried prunes for her.
I think close by the hotel.
Dennis, they have supermarket?
No.
No, it's this. This is
This
the
is their market, yeah.
Oh,
The statue is a monument to a monk who was burned at the stake right here for heresy.
Figure out where we are?
No.
Okay. It's not very well marked.
The shops all around the Campo are also open for business and sell a variety of foods, including fresh pastas, canned goods, salamis, and cheeses.